guys, it's Jess here from the CHD life. About to tell you about my life story. Okay, not all of it, because before we get started, I'm just going to explain this. My voice isn't raspy like this because I'm sick. I did not have corona. My voice is like this because my voice is like this. I have partial vocal cord paralysis because I was in the hospital for 9 weeks, and you're about to hear about that. So before you drop a comment and say, hey, are you getting sick? I hope that you listen to this part. This is my voice. This is the way the Lord made me. This is the way I talk. Don't judge. I was born at this very house that I still live in. I'm the only one out of 12 kids that was a home birth, and that's not because of my heart condition. They didn't know that I had heart conditions until after I was born, and that's just the way the Lord planned it out. I had a family friend who was a doctor that heard the heart murmur, and he suggested to get it looked at if it doesn't go away. Well, mine didn't end up going away, and throughout lots of doctor appointments and going back and forth what the diagnosis was, they finally pinpointed it down to what they could do to fix it, or attempt to fix it. I have a complex heart condition, so that involves multiple different anomalies. I have tetralogy so that has 4 different defects in it, some of them being VSD, ASD, mitral valve prolapse, and I'm missing one, but I am not a heart expert, so you're just going to have to give me grace for that. I also have heterotaxy syndrome, so with that, people can have just different variations of mirror imaging, and the heart can be flipped around in a different position. Mine's not like that. Mine was more with my atrial being a branching image. But I also have 2 spleens, which corresponds with that. Most people have 1, if you're wondering. Anyways, so yeah, I have all that and then some. About my story: born at home, doctor heard a murmur, went to multiple doctor appointments. 13 months later, after the doctors were like, yeah, she's strong enough, they decided to operate on me. They fixed the holes, they put in a mechanical valve, put in a pig valve, and corrected some other of the defects that were involved with my heart problems. 2 months later, they said, hey, it's not looking so hot. So they went in for another operation. Operation number 2. They fixed what they could do, and they said after the operation, she only has 40% chance of living. Well, I guess my God had a better plan for me because I had 10 healthy years, yeah. And they said that after 10 years I might need some replacement parts in my heart, my mechanical valve and my pig valve, that they could be wearing down, or just because I've grown so much. So yeah, my 10th year, started getting some chest pains, and the doctors couldn't detect what was wrong. First doctor said, oh, it was just asthma, gave me an inhaler. That helped some, but not totally. Went back to the doctor again. They put on a Holter monitor for 48 hours, told me to just live life like normal, run around, do things that I normally do. Sent that back, nothing was detected again. During this time, I was having extreme neck pain. I've always been in pain, and I know that sounds really dramatic. That's something that a lot of heart patients deal with. They grow up with a lot of things that they just think is normal, but we don't go through normal situations. So for my neck, we tried to focus on that for the time being, since the doctors weren't really concerned about what was going on with the heart. We were just trusting the Lord that everything was pumping well. Went to specialists about my neck, and they referred me to physical therapy. Went to physical therapy for a while, but that was just making it worse. Had another specialist look at my MRI, and he told me, hey, you need to go see this specialist down at the U of M. I hadn't been to the U of M since I had my heart surgeries at 15 months old. So here I was 12 years old, hadn't been there since I was 15 months old. So 11 years, give and take some. We called them up, my mom called them up. This was in December of 2008, and they told us we only have one opening, a 7 a.m. appointment on December 19th. So we decided to drive out there the night before and spend the night in the Mott's Inn, and then be able to just get up early in the morning and go. Well, while we were there, I started experiencing more symptoms. We were walking around the hospital. My parents were showing me where I had my surgery as a baby, where I stayed. I met a few nurses that were still there. Walking back to our hotel room, it was probably 8 o'clock at night. My oldest sister Heather came with us. They're walking ahead, and I get hit by a chest pain. Me being me, I'm like, I don't want to concern them. I stopped. There was a bench right to my side. I sat down and took a few breaths, thinking, oh, maybe it's just my anxiety, maybe I'm just overreacting. This was the worst one I had ever had. It washed over. I jumped back up and tried to walk as quick as I could to catch up to my family. We made it to our hotel room, and from there on, I just started going downhill. I had excessive thirst, a cough developed. It was almost like I just instantly had a cold. We decided to just settle down for the night. I laid down in my bed, and we started watching The Grinch Stole Christmas. I began just being super restless. I could not lay down. Whenever I tried to lay down, I just had a very ammonia-sounding cough. Then I just remember trying to think, how am I gonna get through it tonight? Is it just because my fears are getting the best of me? About 2 a.m., laying down, my parents start whispering across the room, and they are saying that they see my heart beating from across the room. Well, it was just a strange, calm time, even though we were in the midst of a traumatic moment. I walked over to my mom's bed, and I remember telling her, Mom, I can't sleep. I don't know what to do. She asked me, do you want to go down to the lobby? So I was like, sure. Well, at that point, I couldn't walk because I was in too much pain in my chest. She put me in a wheelchair. We walked down to the lobby, and I sat down on the windowsill. We're just looking out at the Christmas lights, just trying to let the peace and calm of God just fill us up. I just kept on being reminded of the song by Jeremy Camp, There Will Be a Day. And I told my mom that. I was like, Mom, I keep on remembering the song where it says, there will be a day where there will be no more pain, no more tears. I wasn't afraid. I just had this calming, it was almost as if I'm going to be free of this now because I'm going to heaven, or I'm going to be free of this now because something's going to happen that's going to help me be free of this. So my mom was thinking a little bit differently. She didn't know what was going on up in my head. She was like, Jessica, do you think you're dying? I'm like, Mom, yes. Well, from that instant, it was just like, let's go. So she put me back into the wheelchair. She ran very fast back to the hotel room, and She said, "Hey, Norm, we need to take her to the hospital. Something's wrong with her heart." I'm sitting at the edge of the bed, and in that moment, I'm just soaking in the silence. And as I'm sitting there, I hear nothing. That's not good. I'm supposed to be hearing my mechanical valve ticking. That was the first time in my life I remember sitting in a quiet room and not hearing the ticking noise. I let that soak in for a bit there. I didn't verbally say it to my parents that I couldn't hear it because I knew that was just gonna heighten the tension. After my parents are all set to go, I went back in the wheelchair. My dad pushed the wheelchair to the ER that was connected, and we get to the counter. There, I'm now more stressed out. My mom said, "Hey, something's wrong with my daughter. She has heart defects." This nice older nurse comes over to my wheelchair, picks up my wrist, and her eyes just widen. She's like, "Okay, let's get her in the room." There's a room that's empty right there. And so they wheel me in there. Next thing I know, I'm on the bed being hooked up to a bunch of stuff. I remember in the midst of all that, there's a nurse to the left of me that's like, hey, Jessica, do you like Hannah Montana? Huh? Jessica, do you like Hannah Montana? And I'm like dying here, and you're asking me if I like Hannah Montana? I can't say that, but that's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then she just slaps an Hannah Montana sticker over my IV. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm tired and I have Hannah Montana here, and now I'm mad because I have Hannah Montana on my arm and I didn't even ask for it. Anyways, I get grouchy when I'm like hungry and tired and going through heart failure, you know? So, throughout the night, the doctors are trying to figure out what's going on. Turns out I needed my mechanical valve and my pig valve replaced. Within 5 hours of that time, I had emergency open heart surgery. They actually stopped the surgery on a newborn baby to fix my heart first, and that baby did receive the operation that he needed. My surgeon that did my operation, I was 13 and 15 months old. He performed this surgery on me when I was 12 years old too, my emergency open heart surgery. Now, remember, I came to the hospital not for open heart surgery. I came there to see a specialist. In all of that chaos of healing from my emergency heart surgery, which could have gone far worse, but it didn't. Our God is good, and He planned that out great. If I was in my hometown, a few hours away from the hospital I needed my heart surgery at, the doctor said I probably wouldn't survive. But my God planned this out very well. Anyways, so I still had to see the specialist. We got the results back after I got home. I was diagnosed with Klippel-Feil syndrome. What that means is I have a few vertebrae in my neck that are fused together, restricting me from turning it, and it's actually protecting me from breaking the neck. My neck grew this huge massive muscle here to hold up my neck because it was weak. So I have this lump here, and a lot of people stare at it, but it's like, who else has a big lump of muscle on your neck? You gotta work for it. My body did it myself. So yeah, that's how I had my pre-open heart surgeries and how I was diagnosed with Klippel-Feil syndrome. I'm on my 11th year now with my mechanical valve, and I actually upgraded from pig to cow when I had my last surgery. So I have a mechanical valve, which you can hear when it's really quiet. I don't know if you can hear it now. That could just be really awkward silence. And then I have my cow valve. So I like to tell people that I am part robot, part cow, and I'm not fully human. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this YouTube video. I hope it doesn't turn out really awkward, and I really hope I was recording during this, because otherwise I would have just been talking about my life alone in a room. So make sure that you go to my Instagram, it's the CHD Life, and Facebook page, the CHD Life. Shouldn't be too hard to remember. I hope to see some comments below, and thank you for watching.